Before we begin, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for being part of the story. This happened many years ago, back when there was no internet, no cell phones, just landlines. If someone wanted to sell a car, they'd simply park it by the roadside with a handwritten sign that said, "For sale," along with a phone number. One day, while driving home from work, my uncle spotted a car parked by the road with a "For sale" sign on it. He pulled over to take a closer look, and the moment he saw it, he instantly liked it. A lot. It was a classic sedan, exactly the kind of car he had always dreamed of owning. He scribbled down the number from the sign. Again, this was a time when there were no cell phones, only landlines. My uncle drove home, planning to call once he got there. But by the time he arrived, it was already pretty late, so he decided to wait until morning. The next day, he made the call. An elderly man answered. My uncle told him he was interested in the car. "I saw a car parked by the roadside with a "For sale" sign. I'm interested in buying it." The elderly man replied that his daughter was handling the sale and asked him to call back later when she got home. "All right, I'll try again later," my uncle said, and hung up. Later that evening, he called back. This time, a woman answered. He explained that he was interested in the car, and without hesitation, she told him the price. It shocked him. It was incredibly cheap, much lower than he'd expected. That particular model was in high demand among collectors at the time, and prices were climbing fast. But she was offering it for next to nothing, practically giving it away. Then she added,
"If you're really interested, bring cash. We can meet tomorrow and do the ownership transfer."
It was the exact car my uncle had wanted for years, and at such a bargain, so he agreed on the spot. After the deal was done, he brought the car to a shop he trusted and had it completely repainted. Once the paint job was finished, he drove it back home and parked it proudly in front of his house. That evening, he invited my dad over to celebrate the new purchase. They took the car out for a spin. My uncle proudly bragged about how great it looked and how little he'd paid for it. After their drive and some dinner, it got late, so my dad decided to stay the night at my uncle's place. The next morning, my dad returned home. My uncle had dropped him off, but the moment he walked through the door, he said something strange.
"I'm never spending the night at your uncle's house again."
I immediately thought they must have argued or had some kind of falling out, so I asked, "Why? Did you guys fight?" He snapped,
"If you really want to know, go spend the night there yourself."
He looked pale and exhausted, almost like he had a fever. As he walked to the back of the house, he muttered something under his breath. The whole thing felt off, and it only made me more curious. Being young and adventurous, I decided that very night to go sleep over at my uncle's house and see what had really happened. My uncle lived alone, and I had stayed over there before, but this time was different. This time, I was going with questions in my head and a strange sense of anticipation. It began early in the evening. I was having dinner with my uncle, who had poured himself a few drinks while we ate. Then, a loud crashing sound echoed through the house. It was sharp and sudden, impossible to ignore. The noise had come from the front of the house, right where the newly bought car was parked. My uncle and I both turned to look. Then, my uncle immediately ran upstairs to grab his gun. He came back down quickly and said,
"Stay inside. Don't go out. I'll check it out myself. If anything happens, call the police right away."
He stepped outside, but just a few minutes later, he came back in, sat at the dining table, scratched his head in confusion, and muttered,
"What the heck was that?"
That was all he said. Just one confused sentence. I asked, "What happened, Uncle? Did someone try to break in?" He shook his head.
"That's the thing. I looked around and didn't see anything out of place. Nothing was broken, no signs of a break-in. I even walked around the entire house. Nothing."
Since the house sat next to a main road, we figured maybe something had fallen off a passing truck or something like that. I was already tired and didn't think much of it, so we each went to bed. But just as I was starting to drift off, the sound was deafening. It jolted both of us awake. We stepped out of our rooms and exchanged a look. Something was definitely wrong. Uncle turned on the lights. I peeked out the window, but all I saw was a quiet, empty road. No cars, no people, nothing to explain where the noise had come from. My uncle stood there scratching his head again, visibly puzzled. "What's wrong, Uncle?" I asked. He said,
"It's nothing. Go back to sleep."
I went back inside and tried to sleep, but just as I was dozing off again, the same sound echoed through the house. This time, it was even clearer, like someone was walking and striking something repeatedly. It sounded like it was coming from the parking lot. I got up and went to my uncle's room. He looked at me and said,
"You know, your dad went through the exact same thing last night. He complained about the same noises. That's why he said he's never staying over again."
Then he added,
"This isn't normal."
Intrigued, I said to him, "Why don't the two of us go check it out?" He looked at me and said,
"All right, but if anything happens, you'd better keep up with me, okay?"
I nodded. "Don't worry, Uncle. I'll be right behind you." He grabbed his gun and we made our way downstairs. The noise didn't stop, even as we were going down. Bang, bang, relentless, echoing through the house like someone was slamming something with force. We reached the front door and paused. The house lights were already on, and the sound was definitely coming from the parking lot. Uncle took a deep breath. He grabbed the door handle and opened it, and what we saw froze us in place. An elderly man was pacing in circles around my uncle's car, beating it with a heavy stick. He smashed the side mirrors, the windshield, the hood, the taillights, just going around and around, hitting the car like he was possessed. But what was even more shocking was this. The car was completely untouched. No cracks, no dents, no scratches. Despite the deafening noise and the smashing to the windows, the car had no dents, no cracks, no damage at all, yet the banging echoed loudly through the night. We stood there, about 20 or 30 feet away, too shocked to move. The old man kept going, completely unaware that we were watching. Finally, I tugged on my uncle's shirt and whispered, "Ask him who he is and what he's doing." Uncle seemed to snap out of it. He raised the gun, pointed it at the man, and shouted,
"Hey, stop it. Who are you?"
No response. The old man continued pounding on the car.
"Hey,
He yelled again.
I'm talking to you. Who are you? What the hell are you doing?"
Only then did the old man stop. Slowly, he turned to face us and grinned, a wide, unnatural grin that stretched from ear to ear. And that's when I saw it. His neck was filled with shards of broken glass embedded deep in his throat. Blood slowly oozed out, then began gushing down his chest. Whether out of fear or instinct, my uncle raised his gun and fired at the old man. How many times, no one knows, but eventually, the gun ran out of bullets and only the empty click of the trigger remained. Without a word, Uncle turned and ran toward the fence. I followed close behind, still clutching the back of his shirt. When we reached the fence, he lifted me up and threw me over. I hit the ground, scrambled to my feet, and watched as he climbed over after me. We ran, all the way to the entrance of the property, far enough to catch our breath, far enough to feel a little safer. Not long after, the police arrived. Someone in the neighborhood had called to report gunshots coming from our house. Once he calmed down, my uncle told the police everything. But they didn't find anyone shot or any signs of intrusion, no blood. The officer just made a report and left. The next day, my uncle called the previous owner of the car, trying to make sense of what had happened. "Hello? Yeah. When I called for the first time, an elderly man answered and told me to call you later, since you were the one handling the sale. Later, when I called again, you answered the phone," he explained. But now she told him something chilling. She said,
I live in this house alone. No elderly man lives here. It's just me.
Uncle asked, "Then who was the old man who answered the phone before?" She sounded annoyed now.
Let me make one thing clear. I live here alone. I don't know who that man you spoke to is, and the car you bought? It used to belong to my dad, but if you're calling to return it, don't bother. I'm not taking it back. You're not the first person who's tried.
She paused before adding,
The only old man who ever lived here was my father. And he passed away.
My uncle explained to the lady that he hadn't called to return the car. He just wanted to know the truth. He just wanted answers. After hanging up, he decided to donate the car to a temple. He was too spooked to keep it. To this day, I still don't know what we saw that night. Especially this. How is it possible for the neighbors to hear gunshots, but not the banging and smashing noises? Why did only my dad, my uncle, and I hear them? All I know is, I'll never forget that grin.